I was setting up the decorations for my 29th birthday party when I touched my stomach for what felt like the 100th time that morning, 8 weeks pregnant. Nobody knew yet. Not even Kyle, my fiancé. I had been planning this moment for 2 weeks, imagining the joy on everyone's faces when I made the announcement. Kyle and I had been together for 3 years, engaged for 10 months, and our spring wedding was just around the corner. But something had changed in him lately. He had become distant cold, even. I told myself it was just work stress. I had no idea that the gift he was preparing would shatter everything I believed in. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever trusted someone completely only to have them betray you when you least expected it, hit that like button right now, and please subscribe because this story has a twist you will not see coming. I promise you by the end you will understand why sometimes the worst betrayal can lead to the best transformation. Now let me tell you about the birthday party that changed my entire life. I woke up at 7 that morning and Kyle was already gone. He had left a text message on my phone that simply read, "Got called into work early. See you at the party. No good morning kiss. No happy birthday." Just a cold, distant message that made my stomach turn, and not from morning sickness. I tried not to overthink it as I got out of bed and started preparing for the party. The morning was a blur of activity. I arranged tables and chairs in our living room, hung soft pink and gold streamers across the ceiling, and checked in with the catering service to confirm the menu. The nausea from my pregnancy came in waves, but I pushed through it, placing my hand on my stomach every few minutes and imagining the moment I would share the news. I pictured Kyle's face lighting up with joy, pictured him hugging me tight and whispering how happy he was. That image kept me going through the exhaustion. Kyle and I had met 3 years ago at a small coffee shop in downtown Portland. I was working as a graphic designer, struggling to meet a deadline, and he sat down at the table next to mine with his laptop. He was a software engineer, focused and driven, and we ended up talking for 3 hours that afternoon. The first 2 years were beautiful. Kyle was thoughtful, romantic, and always present when I needed him. He would surprise me with my favorite flowers, leave sweet notes in my lunch bag, and stay up late with me when I had tough work projects. 10 months ago, he proposed to me at Cannon Beach during sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and when he got down on one knee, I felt like the luckiest woman alive. I said yes without hesitation. We started planning a spring wedding, picking out venues, tasting cakes, and dreaming about our future together. I thought I had found my person, the one I would grow old with. But 3 months ago, things started to shift. Kyle began coming home later and later from work. Our conversations became shorter, less meaningful. He would look at his phone constantly and turn the screen away when I walked by. When I asked him about wedding plans, he would give one-word answers or change the subject. I brought it up several times, asking if something was wrong, but he always said the same thing. Nothing, just work pressure. His company was working on a major project, so I believed him. I convinced myself that once the project was over, everything would go back to normal. When I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks ago, I felt a surge of hope. Maybe this baby would be the thing that brought us back together. Maybe once Kyle knew he was going to be a father, he would snap out of whatever funk he was in and become the man I fell in love with again. I decided to wait for my birthday party to tell him to make it a special moment we would remember forever. By 3 in the afternoon, guests started arriving. My mother, Linda, came first, carrying a homemade chocolate cake that she knew was my favorite. My father, Thomas, followed behind her with a gift bag, and my younger sister, Jessica, bounced in wearing a bright yellow dress. My best friend from college, Harper, showed up with a bottle of wine and a huge smile. My co-workers, Marcus and Emma, arrived together, laughing about something that had happened at the office that week, but Kyle did not show up until 4:15. When he finally walked through the door, he was wearing a black suit that made him look sharp and polished, but his face was cold, emotionless. He did not come over to hug me or kiss me like he normally would. Instead, he just nodded in my direction and said, "Happy birthday," in a flat, mechanical voice that sent chills down my spine. My mother noticed immediately. "Kyle, honey, are you feeling all right? You look exhausted." Kyle forced a smile that did not reach his eyes. "I am fine, just a long day at work." But he was not fine. Throughout the party, he stood in the corner of the room talking quietly with a few of his guy friends, people I had never really gotten to know. He kept glancing at me with an expression I could not quite read. It was not anger, but it was not love either. It was something cold and detached. Harper pulled me aside at one point and whispered, "Is everything okay with you two? He seems really off." I plastered on a smile and told her, "Yeah, he is just tired from work. It will be fine." But deep down, I felt a growing sense of dread. Still, I told myself that once I announced the pregnancy, everything would change. The news would break through whatever wall he had built between us. At 6 in the evening, everyone gathered around the dining table where my mother had placed the birthday cake. It was covered in soft pink frosting with white roses decorating the edges. My mother had outdone herself, and I felt a wave of gratitude looking at it. Everyone began singing happy birthday, their voices filling the room with warmth. I closed my eyes, made a wish for my baby's health and happiness, and blew out the candles. When I opened my eyes, I looked for Kyle, hoping he would come stand beside me. But he was still across the room, arms crossed, watching me with that same unreadable expression. After I cut the cake and handed out slices, my mother turned to me with a knowing smile. "Olivia, sweetheart, do you have anything you want to share with everyone?" She had no idea about the pregnancy, but she always encouraged me to make speeches at family gatherings. This was my moment. I opened my mouth to speak, to tell everyone the news that had been burning inside me for 2 weeks. But before I could say a word, Kyle stepped into the center of the room. He was holding a small gift box wrapped in shiny black paper. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him, curiosity and excitement on their faces. "Everyone," Kyle announced in a loud, clear voice, "I have something for the birthday girl." People started smiling, thinking this was going to be a sweet, romantic gesture. My heart pounded in my chest. Maybe this was it. Maybe he had known about the pregnancy somehow and was about to surprise me. Kyle walked over and handed me the box. His face showed no emotion, no warmth, no love, just a blank, cold stare. My hands trembled slightly as I took the box from him. I carefully peeled off the black wrapping paper, trying to savor what I thought would be a special moment. Inside was a plain white box. I lifted the lid, expecting to find jewelry or something sentimental, but there was no jewelry. No necklace, no ring, no keepsake, just a single piece of white paper folded in half. Confused, I unfolded it and read the words written in Kyle's handwriting. "I am leaving you. You are useless and I deserve better." For a moment, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. I read the words again and then again, thinking this had to be some kind of terrible joke. I looked up at Kyle, waiting for him to laugh and say he was kidding, that this was some twisted prank. But Kyle just stared at me, his face hard and emotionless. "Kyle," I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. "What is this?" He shrugged as if we were discussing something as casual as the weather. "Exactly what it says. I am done. This relationship has been a complete waste of my time." His words were loud enough for everyone to hear. The room went dead silent. My mother gasped. My father took a step forward, his face turning red with anger. And then from across the room I heard laughter. A few of Kyle's friends, guys I barely knew, started chuckling. They thought this was funny. They thought humiliating me in front of my family and friends was entertaining. One of them muttered, "Man, that was brutal," and they laughed even harder. Kyle turned away from me without another word. "Enjoy your party, Olivia. I am out." He walked toward the door, his footsteps echoing in the silent room. He did not look back, did not hesitate. He just left, closing the door behind him with a soft click that felt louder than a gunshot. The room remained frozen. My mother broke the silence first, her voice shaking. What just happened? My father wanted to run after Kyle, but my mother grabbed his arm, holding him back. My sister Jessica rushed over and wrapped her arms around me. "Oh my God, Liv, I am so sorry. I cannot believe he just did that." Harper was furious, her face red with anger. "What the hell is wrong with him? Who does that?" Kyle's friends were still snickering in the corner, whispering to each other like this was the most entertaining thing they had seen all year. Everyone else just stared at me, waiting to see how I would react. They expected tears, expected me to collapse, to scream, to run after him and beg him to come back. But I did not do any of those things. I stood there holding that piece of paper, my mind racing through 1,000 thoughts at once. I was 8 weeks pregnant with his child. He had just humiliated me in the worst possible way in front of everyone I loved. He called me useless. He destroyed what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. And then something shifted inside me. It was not sadness that I felt in that moment. It was not even shock anymore. It was anger. Cold, clear, focused anger. I slowly folded the piece of paper and slipped it into my pocket. I looked up at everyone staring at me, and I did something nobody expected. I smiled. It was not a sad smile or a broken smile. It was a calm, almost confident smile. "It is okay," I said, my voice steady. "Really. Let us continue the party." My mother looked at me like I had lost my mind. "Sweetheart, are you sure you are all right?" I nodded. "I am fine, Mom. I am not going to let one person ruin the day." "Let us eat cake." People did not know what to do. They awkwardly went back to their plates, making quiet small talk, but the energy in the room had completely changed. Harper pulled me into the kitchen and grabbed my shoulders. "Liv, what are you doing? Are you in shock? Do you want me to take you to the hospital?" I shook my head. "I will handle this, Harper. Trust me." She searched my face, trying to understand. "Handle what he just left you, in front of everyone." I looked her straight in the eye. "I know. And he has no idea what he just did. He has no idea what I am capable of." The party ended around 9 that night. People left with worried faces and sympathetic hugs, not quite knowing what to say. My mother wanted to stay with me, but I insisted I needed time alone. Harper also offered to stay, but I gently turned her down. I need to think I told her. Once everyone was gone, I sat down on the couch and placed my hand on my stomach. I did not cry. I did not fall apart. Instead, I opened my laptop and got to work. The first thing I did was check our joint savings account. Kyle and I had been putting money away for the wedding, and the balance was $12,000. Without hesitation, I transferred every single cent into my personal account. If he was leaving me, he was not taking my money with him. Then I checked the lease on our apartment. Both of our names were on it, but I called the landlord right then and explained the situation. I asked if I could remove Kyle's name from the lease. The landlord agreed as long as I took full responsibility for the rent. I accepted without hesitation. The next morning, Kyle sent me a text message. It was short and cold, just like him. "I will come get my stuff on Friday." I did not respond. Instead, I spent the entire week packing up his belongings. I went through every closet, every drawer, every shelf. I folded his clothes, packed his books, boxed up his electronics. I did not destroy anything or throw anything away. I just packed it all neatly into cardboard boxes and stacked them by the door. Harper came over to help me one afternoon. She watched me pack in silence for a while before finally asking, "Are you really okay? You have not cried once since it happened." I paused, holding one of Kyle's shirts in my hands. "Crying will not change anything, Harper. I am pregnant. I need to focus on what comes next." Harper's eyes went wide. "You are pregnant. Oh my God, Liv. Does Kyle know?" I shook my head. He left before I could tell him. And now I do not think he deserves to know. Harper sat down on the couch, processing this information. But it is his child, too. He has a right to know. I folded the shirt and placed it in a box. A child needs a father who wants to be there. Kyle made his choice. He does not get to come back just because there is a baby involved. Harper stood up and hugged me tight. "Whatever you decide, I am here for you. Always." That week, I also went to the doctor for my regular prenatal checkup. The doctor confirmed that the baby was healthy and developing normally. I felt a sense of relief wash over me. At least something in my life was going right. I also made an appointment with a lawyer who specialized in family law. Even though Kyle and I were not legally married, we had been engaged and had joint assets, which meant I needed legal protection. I brought all the paperwork, the bank statements, the lease agreement, everything. The lawyer assured me that I had a strong case if Kyle tried to come after the money or the apartment. Friday came, and at 3 in the afternoon I heard a knock on the door. I opened it to find Kyle standing there, but he was not alone. Next to him was a young woman, probably around 25 years old, with long blonde hair and a smug expression on her face. Kyle did not even have the decency to look embarrassed. "This is Brittany," he said flatly. "We are together now." In that moment, everything made sense. The distance, the late nights, the secrecy. He had been cheating on me. Brittany looked around the apartment with a sneer. "Nice place. I can see why Kyle wanted to leave." I did not react. I did not yell or cry or slam the door in their faces. I just pointed to the stack of boxes by the door. "Your stuff is right there. Take it and go." Kyle looked at me, and for a second I saw something like surprise flash across his face. "You are taking this surprisingly well," he said. I crossed my arms. "What did you expect, Kyle Dramateers? I am not going to beg you to stay. You made your choice." He seemed almost disappointed, like he had been hoping for a bigger reaction. He and Brittany started loading boxes into his car. Before they left, Kyle turned back to me. "I will send you the paperwork for the savings account." "I want my half." I smiled, a real smile this time. "Good luck with that." He frowned. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone and opened my email. "Check your inbox. My lawyer already sent you the documents. You left me, Kyle. On my birthday, in front of everyone. No judge is going to give you a single cent." Kyle's face turned red with anger. "You cannot do that." I stepped closer to him, my voice calm and steady. "I already did. Now get out of my apartment." Brittany grabbed his arm, trying to pull him away. "Come on, babe. She is not worth it." They left, and I closed the door behind them. I locked it, leaned against it, and finally let out a long breath. Over the next 2 months, I focused entirely on my work and my pregnancy. I took on extra freelance projects to save money for the baby. My stomach started to grow, and I stopped hiding it. I told my coworkers about the pregnancy, and they were supportive. Nobody asked about Kyle. I moved into a smaller, cheaper apartment closer to my mother's house. It was not as nice as the old place, but it was mine, and it felt like a fresh start. On weekends, I started attending a prenatal yoga class. I met other expecting mothers, and we would talk about our fears and hopes. For the first time in months, I felt like I was not alone. One evening, Harper asked me, "Do you ever miss him?" I thought about it for a long time before answering. I missed the person I thought he was. But the real Kyle, no. He did me a favor by leaving. During those 2 months, I did not hear from Kyle at all. According to mutual friends, he and Brittany were dating publicly, going to bars and parties together. I did not care. My life was moving forward, and he was not a part of it anymore. Then one night, everything changed. It was 11 o'clock, and I was getting ready for bed when I heard shouting from outside. I opened the window and looked down. There, standing in front of my building, was Kyle. He was drunk, stumbling, barely able to stand up straight. "Olivia!" he screamed. "Olivia, I know you are up there!" I closed the curtain, hoping he would go away. But he did not stop. "I am sorry, I made a mistake. Please, just talk to me." Neighbors started opening their windows, yelling at him to be quiet. I realized I had to go down there before he woke up the entire building. I grabbed a jacket and went outside. When I stepped onto the sidewalk, Kyle stumbled toward me. The smell of alcohol was overwhelming. "I am so sorry, Liv," he slurred. "I was stupid. I want you back." I took a step back, keeping distance between us. "Kyle, you are drunk. Go home." He shook his head, tears streaming down his face. "Brittany left me. She said I am broke, useless. Just like I said about you. Karma. Right." He let out a bitter laugh. "I lost my job too. The project failed. Everything fell apart." I stood there looking at this man who had once been my whole world, and all I felt was pity. "I am sorry that happened to you, Kyle, but it does not change anything." He looked up and noticed my stomach, which had grown noticeably larger. His face went pale. "Are you pregnant?" I nodded. Yes. His eyes filled with panic. Is it mine? I could have lied. I could have told him no, that it was someone else's just to hurt him the way he hurt me. But I did not. Does it matter? I asked. Of course it matters, he shouted. I am the father. I have a right to know. I shook my head slowly. No, Kyle. A father is someone who is there. You called me useless. You humiliated me in front of everyone I love. You walked away without looking back. He dropped to his knees on the sidewalk. I was wrong. I will be there now. I will help you raise the baby. Please, Liv. I need you. I looked down at him, this broken man begging for another chance. And I felt nothing. No anger, no love, no sympathy. Just emptiness. You do not need me, Kyle. You need to figure out your own life. And I need to protect my child from people who will only hurt them. He sobbed. Please. I have nothing left. No job, no girlfriend, no money. I need you. That is not my problem anymore, I said quietly. Go home, Kyle. Move on. I already have. I turned and walked back into my building. Behind me, I could hear him crying, calling my name. But I did not look back. I went upstairs, locked my door, and went to bed. The months that followed were the hardest and most beautiful of my life. I continued working, preparing the nursery in my small apartment, and attending doctor's appointments. I did not hear from Kyle again. I heard through mutual friends that he had moved back in with his parents in the suburbs. I did not reach out, and he did not try to contact me either. In February, I gave birth to a baby girl. I named her Sophie. My mother and Harper were with me the entire time, holding my hand through every contraction, every push, every moment of pain. When the nurse finally placed Sophie in my arms, I looked down at her tiny face and started crying. Not because I was sad, but because I was overwhelmed with love. This little person was mine. She was everything I needed. The first few months of motherhood were exhausting. There were sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and moments when I felt so tired I could barely stand. But every time I looked at Sophie, every time she smiled at me or wrapped her tiny hand around my finger, I felt a strength I did not know I had. My mother helped me as much as she could, and Harper visited almost every weekend, bringing groceries and keeping me company. I worked from home, balancing freelance projects with taking care of Sophie. It was not easy, but I made it work. There were nights when I would be up at 3 a.m, rocking Sophie back to sleep, and I would feel a pang of loneliness. I would wonder what it would be like if Kyle were there, if he were helping me, if we were doing this together. But then I would remember the way he looked at me that night, at my birthday party. I would remember the cruelty in his voice. And I would remind myself that I was better off alone than with someone who did not value me. 1 year after that terrible birthday party, I found myself sitting in a park with Sophie. She was 7 months old, learning to sit up on her own on a blanket I had spread out under a tree. I watched her grab at the grass, giggling when the blades tickled her tiny fingers. The sun was warm, the sky was blue, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly at peace. I thought about the journey I had been on, from the woman who was publicly humiliated and abandoned to the single mother who had built a new life for herself and her daughter. I thought about how scared I had been that night, standing in front of all those people holding that note. I thought about how I could have let that moment destroy me, but I did not. Instead, I chose to fight. I chose to take control of my life, to protect myself and my child, to move forward even when it felt impossible. And in doing so, I discovered a strength I never knew I had. I realized that sometimes the worst betrayal can be the thing that sets you free. If Kyle had not left me, I would never have known how strong I really was. I would have stayed in a relationship with someone who did not appreciate me, someone who did not deserve me. I did not forgive Kyle for what he did. I did not forget the pain he caused me. But I let go of the anger. I released the bitterness. Because holding on to those feelings was only hurting me, not him. Sophie deserved a mother who was present, who was happy, who was not weighed down by the past. I picked Sophie up and held her close, kissing the top of her head. You and I whispered to her. We are going to be just fine. I looked up at the sky, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. and I realized that I was not just fine. I was happy, truly deeply happy. Not because everything was perfect, but because I had learned to find peace within myself. I never saw Kyle again after that night outside my building. I do not know where he is now, and honestly, I do not care. He made his choice, and I made mine. Some people are meant to leave your life so that better things can enter. And for me, that better thing was discovering my own strength, my own worth, and the incredible love I have for my daughter. If you are watching this, and you have ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, I want you to know something. It will hurt, it will break you, but it will also rebuild you into someone stronger, someone better. You do not need someone who does not see your worth. You do not need someone who treats you like you are disposable. Sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is simply moving on and being happy without them. Have you ever had someone leave your life only to realize later that it was the best thing that ever happened to you? I would love to hear your story. Leave a comment below and let me know. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I wish you all the strength, love, and happiness you deserve. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are never as alone as you think you are.